came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Adam with TAT Express, and we're on another live. Here it is, Sunday. Hope everybody's doing well. Thanks for everybody, everybody that's watching, everybody that's here to join us. We are back at it again today, shooting some more videos for you guys. The video that we just released today was a short video. If you guys got a chance to check that out, I know I got a comment from Transport about not showing you guys how to actually download that software. I didn't want to get into many technical terms of how to download the software. You know, what kind of computer you're gonna need, what kind of hookup you're gonna need. That's a separate video there. But today, if you are new to my channel, we do live Sundays at 2 p.m. Thanks for everybody that's joining us. If you got any questions about your truck, make sure to hit us up there in the chat. We have a live chat right now, so guys, make sure to comment if you got any questions. Today's subject is going to be about corrosion prevention, guys. We got winter season coming around the corner. It's going to get cold fast. I believe this year is going to be pretty cold. Usually when we have I know here in Texas, usually if we have a cold season, or if we don't have a cold season for probably about 2 or 3 months, then we don't have too much. It's not too bad, you know. It actually stays pretty warm down here. What's up, Juan? Thanks for joining us, guys. If you're watching, make sure to hit us up on the chat. Where you guys watching from? Guys, thanks for joining us. If you're a technician, where you working at, what location you working at, shout us out. Give a shout out to everybody out there. We got some good content coming out. We just haven't produced it yet, but we shot a lot of videos. Hope you guys like the new setup for the live. We shot a live today, just kind of sharing some information about an update on the construction and about where that drone went. So guys, I want to kind of, for the people that are new, I was just going to go over the subject that we have today about corrosion prevention. Since it's going to get cold this year, you want to be, you know, when you're out there, your OTR, you're going to be going areas where there's going to be a lot of ice and snow on the road. So what they do to prevent this is they put de-icers and formulas on the road to help keep the roads passable and safe. So, you know, every city, every state is different. Guys, if you're very familiar of the lane that you run, you know what areas are going to have the treatment on the road. And one thing is going to be for sure there, guys, is you're going to have to wash that stuff off. What I've noticed is, and I noticed this is a big issue, because the same formulas that they make to you know, break up the snow and break up the ice, it's the same stuff that's going to eat into your paint. It's the same stuff that's going to eat into the metal and starts corroding. And when if you're not washing it off, for one thing, that's going to be your first line of defense, is washing this stuff off. If you are getting exposed to those type of road formulas or those type of road treatments, and you know you've been in those areas, be sure to get that wash. And I'm not talking about a cold wash that some places do. You know, if you have a pressure washer with some cold water, I'm talking about neutralizers. You know, like if you get at Blue Beacon, they're gonna show you hot water. They're gonna shoot you with hot water. Have some you know, some neutralizer that's gonna help break down those chemicals that they put on the road and that's stuck in your chassis. You know, they get into some really hard places, and if they're left unattended and you're not looking at inspection, you're not inspecting your truck, not looking for this type of corrosion. And I'm going to go into more details on what to look for. What's going to happen is that corrosion is going to end up getting in there, and it's going to spread. And the same thing with electrical connections. If you're going through a truck wash, you're mostly going to bobtail, or if you're raining and if you're ever bobtailing and you don't have your trailer power hooked up, make sure to stow that away. Don't leave that exposed to the environment. Anytime you leave wire or anything like that exposed to the environment, it's very, very susceptible to corrosion. And that stuff is like, we're going to do a video. We actually done a video on this. It was going to be probably coming out this week. So check out the video we're going to be releasing on Sunday. We actually took a ride out to the Blue Beacon, and we shot a video of the wash. It was pretty cool. They actually didn't let us shoot inside the Blue Beacon, I guess for safety reasons, but we were still able to get some good content over to you guys. Everybody that's on chat, what's up? How you guys doing? Make sure to hit that like button. I'm going to catch up to everybody. But I just kind of, people that are actually new to the lives, that are looking at the topic of the video, which is corrosion prevention, I wanted to just go over those items right now, so that, you know, you guys later on, if you want to actually get more in detail about what I'm talking about and the types of inspections you're going to be looking for, I'm going to be releasing another video about this topic, a more in-depth video that's just going to cover this particular subject. But today we're going to be doing online as well. Actually, we're going to be doing this live with questions, and I want to catch up to everybody's questions because I enjoy listening to chat. I enjoy, you know, everybody jumping on and everybody sharing their information. I apologize to all the viewers that I haven't caught up with all your comments on all the videos, but I'm going to catch up to them. Give me some time. We got a lot of stuff going on. As you know, we got construction going on. What's up? Always packing. One says, what's up? And he asked me if I found my drone. We haven't found that drone, and it's very weird that originally when I saw that tree trimmed like that, and I only told one person in that area, one of the contractors, I told him in that area that tree, or that's where that drone wrecked, and I saw that tree shaved like that, and originally I was like thinking what's going on, but luckily, you know, this is why it's important. You don't want to jump to conclusions right away. And this is the same thing when you're looking at repairs. If you're repairing a truck, or if you're looking at your truck, try not to jump to conclusions too quickly. There's going to be a lot of stuff that you need to walk through, and you need to understand what you're working on before jumping to conclusions and leading you in the wrong direction. So basically, I didn't say anything, but yes, we saw the trees trimmed now, and no, we haven't found our drone. But thanks for asking. They're always packing. That, you know, drones ain't cheap, and the drone that we have doesn't have side censoring, so that's why I ran into that tree like that. But let that happen to you one time, and trust me, you're gonna make sure that that's not gonna happen again. DD15 says, Adam, what's advices you have for me? Keep on 07 EGR system nice and clean. I'm not into these, so yeah, just keep up with your maintenance. Any vehicle is gonna be good. I'm really strong on maintenance. If you keep up with your oil changes and your PMs and your fuel system, your fuel filters as well, make sure you're gonna grease your truck, get in your inspections done by a quality shop. 07, the chassis is gonna have high mileage, so make sure you keep an eye on that corrosion as well. Make sure you're washing the truck. Another thing we can do to prevent corrosion, guys, if you see a chip on your paint that's down to the metal, make sure to cover that up with some paint, with some primer. You can use some flat black primer, any color you like. You know, you can go pink if you want to. Just make sure to get some paint on it. You know, don't let it sit there and be bare metal. And include these inspections in your tree pick, pre-trip and post-trip inspections in the morning. And guys, if you're out there in the industry and you're out there looking for a used truck, be careful to find out. You know, be careful when you're looking at the frame. Say for example, you're looking at the frame and it's all nice and painted. Everything looks nice and clean. Everything looks painted. But look at the metal. If it looks like it's flaking, you know, if it's been painted over the flakes and the metal looks kind of swollen, that's what corrosion does. It creeps in that metal. It gets up under that paint and it blisters the paint up. And over time, it starts to swell the metal. So that metal section looks a little swollen. So keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on that stuff whenever you're buying a used truck, especially if you're buying. I notice a lot of the trucks that are coming into Texas are most trucks that have been running upstate. And I guess they're not able to move the trucks more up there upstate because a lot of that stuff is recognizable by the people that are from upstate. So they know not to look for those type, or they know already to look for those type of things. But the people down in the southern, you know, we're not used to that snow or that road grime or that road, the road treatment that's eating up these chassis. We're not used to seeing that. So, you know, when they send those trucks down here to sell them to us or sell them to the southerners, I feel like, because why wouldn't leave those trucks up there and just sell them? It's not like nobody's buying trucks up north. They're buying trucks all over the nation right now. What's up? And one of my trucks in Florida, I appreciate you making that comment. Thanks for joining us. Guys, I appreciate, make sure you hit that like button. If you guys are new to our channel, make sure you subscribe to us, and make sure you guys, if you got anybody that can use my channel useful, hit us up. Thermo King APU corrosion. You know, when a thermo, we're talking about APUs. When an APU is full of, when that APU is just full of all that, you know, all that buildup already, all that corrosion, depending on how deep it is, you know, the only way to stop that corrosion is we're going to be able to have to grind it down to the metal and get it, you know, get it treated all the way back out. Try to get all that corrosion off. But if you bought a used truck that's been neglected for a long time and your APU's just pretty much hanging on by a few pieces of metal, the rest is just flaking off, then you may have to look into a new APU. This is why it's important to wash your truck on a regular basis, guys. If you're dealing with going up north, I've already seen snow in the northern areas, central north, the northern central part of America. We already see snow flurries up there, large snow flurries, because so this road treatment is already being put out there, guys. So if you've been in those areas up north coming back down, or if you're up north and you're still up north, make sure to get that truck wash. Don't leave that road treatment on your truck. That's going to cause some major corrosion there. And make sure also, if you're getting your truck checked on by a mechanic and for electrical issues, it's keep an eye on how they're checking your wires. Don't have them poking around in wires or anything like that. That's going to expose the wire. It's going to break the shield on the wire, and it's going to give an opportunity for corrosion to enter. I'm from South Los Angeles. I'm going to work for my previous boss starting tomorrow. He's going to rent me a truck for 1 to 3 months. Okay, that's well, good luck. I'm pretty sure it's like a free trial is basically what he says. I appreciate that comment. Yeah, freight is booming right now. I saw an ad that they're actually low on drivers. That's something that's been actually normal. There's going to be a shortage on drivers, but even now, 2019 was pretty much a tough time for the trucking industry. So a lot of people were exiting, drivers included. They were already, just kind of getting tired of the industry. And now we move along to a booming market from this crash that we just had from the Corona crash. And now everybody's trying to get back in the industry, and they're trying to get back in trucks. So yeah, I see a lot of rentals happening. I see a lot of people rushing into buys. If you're in the market for a used truck right now, as I mentioned, right now we're looking at September 13, 2020. It's not a good time to buy a used truck. It's pretty much a seller's market right now. So if you are in the market for if you are in the market for a used truck, keep an eye on this corrosion, guys. It's big. You don't want to buy a truck that's just has all this built up of corrosion. Guys, thanks everybody for joining us today. What's up, Transport? Here I go. Good morning. Can I change only one head gasket on my Mercedes 400 leaking coolant? You can. It's going to be a lot of work to get down to that one head. It's going to be a lot of cleaning, and you can see how it lasts. Those type of engines right there, I can understand how it's tough. It's tough to make that decision. I see it in the bigger engines. I don't see it too much on the smaller engines, but you can try out that one cylinder head and see what she does. Adam, what's up, bro? Hit us up with good info. Yes, sir. I appreciate that. I thought you were saying hit us up in the U.S. Edward, what's up, Wes? Edward West, how you guys doing? Thanks for joining us. To see if I like owner op life or do. Okay, hey, I was just reading that there. If you like owner op life, I mean, that ain't bad, man. Get into the business right now. I said it's a booming market right now. Right now is a booming market. This is the time to get in. There's going to be a lot of contracts that are going to take up a lot of this freight coming up, especially with the changes that are happening with the industry, how the freight is moving differently when it comes to e-commerce. There's a lot of e-commerce that's happening right now that's driving the industry, and there's some contracts people are making some moves. They're trucking companies are trying to get in place to beef up their capacity and figure out how they can satisfy these shippers. And once they do, they're gonna get this freight. And so no, it's not a bad idea to join it. A lot of this overflow that's going into the industry is going into the brokerage. It's going onto the broker side. So it's if you're moving market freight, you're feeling it as an owner operator. You would see this if you're using like load boards. This is why I'm glad my trucks don't leave Florida. That's a good comment. I appreciate that. Another item that I can't believe I wanted to go over this as well. This is, we're talking about corrosion, and this is a very important subject. If you look at the thumbnail, I was showing you a video that's going to get released in about a week or so. It's about a DD15 head. Now guys, if you guys follow my channel, I do a lot of DD15 content, but we do get a lot of Cummins as well, PACCAR. I'm going to start sharing that information today. We're actually in the shop today shooting a Cummins video of a Cummins ISX15 with excessive pressure in the cooling system. I hope you guys are going to like this video. We're going to take our time to put this together, help you guys troubleshoot that. So if you run into this type of issues, you can use this type of troubleshooting. It's going to be on all the platforms. So if you have compression and going in your system, this is going to be a good video to check out. So basically what I'm trying to get to as well is keeping up, not only checking for corrosion on the exterior part of your truck, your engine, your chassis, everything that's exposed, your brake components, everything. You also want to actually keep an eye on your levels for your coolant levels. You want to, the best thing that I can mention to you before getting all professional or in depth about all the different formulas for coolant. We can make a whole video about this, and I don't want to get too in depth in this. And one thing, I'm not ready to talk about it, but to make it easy for you, what I would suggest you do is get a Fleet Guard. You can get 3-strip coolant strip testers. You can get them on Amazon, and they're very cheap. But you're going to want to check your coolant. You want to check your nitrate levels, your pH levels, and you also want to check your freezing point levels. Especially, we're going to go into the cold season, and if you're up north, those are really 3 important things that you need to check out. If you're not checking out, say for example, you have high nitrate levels. Nitrates is too much nitrates. Higher nitrate levels is going to actually be higher exposed to corrosion. If your pH levels aren't working correctly, your inhibitors couldn't be working as potent as they're supposed to. And if your freeze point is off, if you got too much dilution going on, you can have a low freeze point or a high freeze point, and you can have your truck causing some major damage. But one thing is very important for the guys that are down here in the South. You got to listen to this. If you got a DD15 and you haven't serviced your coolant system in over 300,000 miles, I would suggest getting you to these coolant strips. If you come visit our location, we have coolant strips. We do this during our services. But checking out your coolant level and your nitrate levels and your coolant is going to be very important, especially if you own a DD15. In this video that we're going to be sharing with you in about a week or so about this DD13 that came in, the head was pretty solid. For some reason, another shop pulled the head. They were suspecting that fuel was going into the coolant. For some reason, they pulled the head, saying that the head was cracked. We pressurized the head. The head didn't have any leaks on it, so we were going to go back on with the head. A lot of times, if you have cross-contamination from coolant or diesel going into your coolant, it's going to be injector cups, and that's something that you can easily check without actually pulling the head. So we were just kind of confused of why they pulled the head. Further inspection, we found corrosion around one of the coolant jackets on this particular head, and we didn't want to put this engine back together and have them to have a completely different problem with coolant either leaking out the side of the engine or having coolant just making a mess. And basically, if you have cross-contamination coolant going into your oil, you can cause some major engine damage. So we had to suggest this head get replaced. And unfortunately, we see this a lot with DD15s. Due to coolant corrosion or due to internal corrosion for not keeping up with your cooling system, not maintaining your cooling system, not flushing that cooling system every 300K, or checking it with three-way strips. You can get the 3-way strips online. Checking those levels are very important, because if you're not checking those levels, you're very susceptible to corrosion. It's already, the engine's bare metal on the inside, so if you're not taking care of that, you're definitely going to have corrosion issues. And this is with any engine. Always pack, and I'm going to put pour 15 on the frame in 2 weeks when I get back home. Okay, you're gonna pour 15 on the frame. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't understand that. Adam, in the video you didn't show how to pull the reports. What do you need to get the reports? You need go look up DDAC reports online. You can Google it. You can Google DDAC reports. It can show you where to download it at. And basically why I didn't go into depth about that. That was just supposed to be a quick video. But you just download that software. But guys, look at the requirements on what you're going to need to actually hook up to a truck. You are going to need some additional hardware to hook up to a truck. This is another reason why I didn't get too in depth in that transport. But I appreciate you for asking the question. What to expect when a truck is parked for 1 year in a 2012 Cascadia? If the truck's been parked for 1 year, I would definitely change the oil. I know even if they said the oil was just changed before they parked it, during these hot and cold seasons, of course, you build condensation. Everybody knows about condensation. And it's the same thing that builds up in these bigger engines. You can build condensation up if the engine's been sitting for a long time. The same thing with diesel. So, I would put fresh diesel in it, put some fresh filters, fresh oil, check the air filters, go ahead and grease the truck, do an inspection on it. Expect some wheel seals to be leaking if the truck has been sitting for a year. A lot of times those wheel seals will get dry, so once you start driving it and it starts warming up, then you will have some leakage. So you can actually be looking for that or expecting that. Jason says, what's up? Hello, how you doing? in any other videos. Have any of my videos can help you, hit us up on Cash App. Trey's there to remind us. Guys, if any of my stuff is, guys, if everybody who has supported my channel by either visiting the shop, making a comment on us on our social media to help us with social proofing. Also, with everybody that's hit us up on Cash App, you know, I appreciate all the support. We're very close to we're at 9,100 subscribers. We're 900K away from releasing merch. So as soon as we hit 10,000, we're gonna have merch release just in time for the winter time. So we should have beanies and we should have hoodies. I know we have hoodies. Hopefully we get the beanies out as well. So we'll get the hats out there as well, guys. So if you guys want to support the channel, or if you want to support the channel through Cash App, you can go to $TAT Express. Guys, thanks for everybody that's joining today's topic. We're talking about corrosion awareness. We're talking about washing that road formula that's out there to break down this ice, all these de-icers. Wash that off your truck. Don't let it sit on there for months and start corrosion. If you do get chips on your paint, make sure to cover it up with some primer, some kind of paint. Cover it up. Don't leave it exposed. Don't leave your wires exposed, your pigtail dangling out there without it being stowed away. Saludas de Chicago. What do you think of 2007 Freightliner Century class? 60 series. That's a good engine. It's a 60 series 14 liter. It's a pretty stout engine. I think that was when they first started incorporating the EGR systems on the 60 series. 60 series are okay, to be honest. I'm not too fond of them when they starts adding the EGR and they start going into emissions, because they didn't really redesign the engine. The 60 series was actually designed from the ground up not to have emissions on it. So when they started adding emissions onto it, it just kind of really just started kind of taking more and more away from the engine. Opposed to the DD15, like the DD15 was designed it was designed with emissions for emissions control. So it wasn't, you know, backwards where the engine was designed before emissions. So this is the only thing this is why I'm not a big fan of the 60 series or the last 60 series models, because I just noticed a difference. Like if you're a mechanic, you would notice like the difference of how the engine sounds when you're running it. The ones with the later models that, you know, with the DPF filters, they sound more like noisy. They sound really noisy. So I'm not sure. Like if you sound on a DD15, sounds really smooth. Everything sounds together. A 60 series emission systems, they just sound with the DPF filter on there. They sound like they're coming apart. Do some CM 870 videos. Okay, that's some good. Thanks for that comment. Would you buy a truck from Warner Truck Fleet Sales? I probably wouldn't. I'm not a big fleet fan. And one thing to mention when I'm talking about corrosion awareness and you're buying a used truck, check out this corrosion. This corrosion is I mean, it could be a nightmare. It's like buying a house with bad foundation. You know, if you don't find it's like buying a house with termites. If you buy a truck that has so much corrosion on it, you know, it's going to be a lot of maintenance. You're going to have a lot of parts just barely keeping up with it. I've seen some corrosion make some engines make some trucks and engines look very old. So make sure to wash that off. And one thing that I'm not too big a fan of, another thing with fleet trucks, used fleet trucks, not only are they driving them to 400K and turn around and just turn them in, so the maintenance is going to be low on them. Anytime a fleet is looking at hard times, which is, you know, it's unpredictable, which kind of like a stock market, the way that the freight moves. Whenever they hit some hard times, the first thing that they're going to cut, and these are facts that I've read, is the first thing that they're going to cut is going to be fleet washing. So when they cut fleet washing, you're having to worry about corrosion. You're having to worry about new, unexperienced drivers driving those trucks, so learning on those newer trucks or learning on that truck. Corrosion, lack of maintenance, those are the type of things you all got to keep in mind when you're buying a used truck. If you go to a sales yard or a dealership and they only got one left or two left and out of 60 or whatnot, be careful. Those are going to be the ones that may be giving you the biggest headache. So guys, want to give you guys a heads up when buying a used truck. It is not a bad time to it's not a bad time to buy a used truck. If you want to get in the industry, guys, it's not a bad time to buy a used truck. The thing is, finding a good used truck, that's the problem. Finding a good used truck is not going to be, easy. Everybody's using the trucks. As I said, Capacity is very tight right now. So when capacity is tight, that means everybody's buying. Everybody needs trucks right now. So they're forcing guys on the road. I had a viewer just mention today that he's going back to drive with an owner that's renting a truck. So not a lot of people are renting trucks. If the work wasn't heavy or the work wasn't at a high volume, people wouldn't be renting trucks to go to work. Transport says DD15 coolant tank. There's not supposed to be coolant in the bottom part of the tank. Driver called me and said tank gas got coolant at the bottom level tank. New tank 1 week ago. OEM. Okay, Transport. Why'd you replace the tank? A lot of times when I see trucks come in with brand new coolant tanks and they come in with the same problem about excessive pressure going in the cooling system, those are signs that you have something going on. So if you got a coolant bottle that either cracked and is leaking from excessive pressure, that means you have something else going on. And we're shooting a video today about that. We're shooting a video about coolant overflow. And the video is also going to be, it's basically coolant overflow or excessive pressure in the cooling system. Using it, usually it took in a bottle empty and coolant in the middle area of the tank. If you are getting coolant at the bottom of that coolant tank, you're right. That's a relief section of the tank. That means that you're getting pressure inside the system. It could be an EGR cooler, or in worst case scenarios, it could be something a little bit deeper. I would try to get that truck looked at. Yeah, that's probably why that first coolant tank failed. I appreciate that question, Transport. Guys, so again, when you're looking at coolant bottles, and I mentioned this in some of my other videos, a lot of my videos actually, keep an eye on that coolant bottle. That coolant bottle is going to be what's giving you the first sign or the first line of defense. If you got something, discoloration going on in that coolant bottle, or if you got excessive pressure and you look like you got some overflow, we got a truck in the shop right now that we're going to do a video on, and I recognize that they put a screw on the overfill hose. So most coolant tanks are going to have an overfill section, like Transport's mentioned. On a DD15, you're not supposed to have coolant in the entire bottle. There's going to be sections at the bottom on the driver's side of the tank that's going to be empty. Those are reserved for excessive pressure. So if you start seeing pressure going into that side of the coolant bottle, that's giving you an indication that something's going on. Also, if you see discoloration in that bottle, that's going to give you an indication that something's going on. Another thing you can look for, if you're buying a used truck and you're there at the dealer or wherever you're at buying there, and you see a brand new coolant bottle there, just looking really nice, just all nice and clean, it's probably been changed for a reason. So you want to look into that information as well. Or you want to look further into that, I would suggest. Space H 3000 says, do you have to pull the engine if there is a knocking sound? What's your suggestion? Well, if you have a knocking sound, first of all, what type of engine? If it's a DD15, you wouldn't have to. No, you wouldn't. I mean, pulling the engine is not easy. Pulling the engine, they designed these trucks basically around the engine. So pulling the engine is not easy. It's not like pulling an engine out of a Chevy pickup or a car. It takes a lot of work, takes a lot of man hours to get everything, and at a point where you can actually remove the engine, and not only and actually having the equipment to pull out an engine. So before actually going that far, I would do as much digging as possible before pulling the entire engine, because if you have something going on with your rockers up top, if it's something to do with your valve train, it could be a head issue. If it does sound like something going below, then you could have some issues going on. You could possibly, if you hear like the knocking, I mean, if you're saying knocking, now did you just have some kind of big repair done? Is it, and you're having knocking? What type of engine? Give me a little bit more information so I can lead you. But I wouldn't pull the engine just yet. I wouldn't pull the engine unless that sucker's just done and you're ready to overhaul it. DD15 overheating on climbing hills. Why could that be? HG West, thanks for the question, guys. Make sure to ask any questions that you got. Okay, so if you're overheating, usually if you're going over a hill and you're overheating, that means that's the point where the engine needs the most cooling off or the most heat transferring, because you're putting a higher load on the engine. The first thing I would start off with is if your fan is coming on and coming off. You can hear your fan kicking on, kicking off, and if you don't hear that blowing, kicking on, you can hear that fan kicking on, blowing hard, you know, and you got high mileage engine, you should possibly need to look into that fan clutch. The fan clutch is going to be engaging and disengaging. Most of the time it's air driven. And when it disengages, of course, it pushes one of the plates away, and whenever it disengages or engages, the air gets released, and it's like a friction plate that grabs the fan. Over time, that friction plate can wear, and you cannot have that much pull on that fan, and over time, you can have a wore-out fan clutch. So your airflow could be bad. So that's one thing I would look for, your fan clutch. Look at the outside stuff. If your radiators hasn't been serviced, you look like you got a lot of corrosion inside your radiator, blow your radiator out. Another thing you can do is when you're running a truck at operating temperature, you can look at the coolant differences across your radiator while your fan is on to see if you have enough coolant temperature drop. If you have enough coolant temperature drop, you know, if it's a big variances, then you can tell, hey, well, you want my radiator's cooling off. If there's no big variances, then it's possibly that you can have a clogged radiator, because coolant's going to be going through that radiator, and that forced air is what's going to cool that coolant off, and it should cool it down quite a bit before going back into that engine. So mostly going up a hill if it's heavy load. Then if you ever lost coolant, you ever got the truck hot, this is all information that needs to be kept all gathered, whenever you're troubleshooting overheating truck. You don't want to condemn the head right away or anything like that. Make sure the thermostats are very easy to service on that. Make sure your thermostat your temperature sensors are reading correctly. You can use a thermometer, infrared thermometer, to check where the section on where that temperature sensor is reading from, and look at the difference on what it's reading on your dash and see if there's a big difference there. If there's a big difference, and it could be a bad sender. They actually still do go bad. Overheating, is it the alarm coming on? That probably won't be a sensor. If the red light's coming on and you're overheating, I would probably stop operating that truck to figure out what's going on. You can cause some major damage. Hit me up on Instagram and I can get you a video clip to put out on your channel and help you get some more exposure. I appreciate that, Trucker Style. Advertising on the channel, appreciate that. Kenneth Gonzalez says, what do you mean by flushing the coolant? Flush and put the same, or put new coolant? Yes. Okay, thanks for that question. And I'm sorry that I wasn't too clear on that. When flushing the coolant, it's flushing it with detergent. You can get, there's some flushing that you can get from Fleet Guard. It's 1 gallon, big gallon jug. You put it in there, you flush it out. And no, you're not going to put the same coolant in there. You're going to put fresh coolant in there. And you can also order these 3-way strips or coolant strips that you can order from Fleet Guard. I'm sorry I couldn't get that out there earlier. Get that ordered and have those in stock and check those for you. Yeah, check those things out. And, it's basically just checking your nitrate levels. Like I said, if your nitrate levels aren't within, aren't being controlled, you're being more exposed to corrosion, internal corrosion inside the engine is what I'm talking about. Also, if your pH levels aren't right, then your inhibitors aren't going to be working like they're supposed to. And if your freeze point is too high, and you get into an area, say you run up north to Chicago over the winter, and you don't think I'm not going to be up there long, I'm just going to run up there, drop it, and you get snowed in, and your freeze point's too high, and you actually freeze out there, or your coolant freezes, it can be damaging, guys. So yeah, I appreciate that question, Kenneth. Sorry if I wasn't too clear on that earlier. Guys, if you're just joining us, make sure to hit that like button. Appreciate everybody that's joining us. Appreciate all the support on the channel, all the questions that are coming in. How do older trucks run with the automatic transmission? I'm looking to get in an older truck right now with the 60 series, and it has an automatic transmission. Roscoe, automatic transmissions weren't that great for the older models. They didn't get actually good until Detroit and their own manufacturer started manufacturing, or the manufacturer started manufacturing their own transmissions. The iShift, Volvo's iShift, PACCAR's transmission as well. And it's crazy because Eaton is the same company that's making them. So Eaton's the same company that's making the transmissions that Detroit's designing, and PACCAR. They're making the same. They're making the casing. So it's kind of odd. But when Eaton was doing their own automatic transmission, I wasn't a big fan because it's a semi-automatic transmission, so the engagement is not smooth. Now the newer automatics, they have actuators on the back of the transmission, so it's basically giving you that smooth engagement of the gear. Eaton, like the Easy Shift, or the what is it called? Not the Easy Pedal. I'm sorry. Ultra Shift. We're talking about the older, like the Gen 3 auto shifts for the Edens. They're really hard shifting. Like they use centromatic style clutches, so you got to hit a certain RPM for that clutch to release. So it's a really tough engagement if you're new to the industry, and you want to get into it. Backing that trailer up on an older setup like that, I wouldn't recommend. Not only that, but if you get too old, if you get into the two older models and you have an automatic, they're very prone to electrical problems. And if you have electrical problems on an automatic, basically the system's program, or the ECM, the truck is programmed to communicate with the transmission. So now you have to have another issue or another signal that the ECM is going to be looking for, that if it loses that signal because of corrosion or because that harness is flapping around over 700,000 miles from being on the highway, it could be tough trying to figure that problem out. So I would suggest going with something a little bit newer. As I mentioned, like after 2003, the 60 series I'm really not a big fan after the 60 series, after 2003, after 2004, when they really started bolting on the after treatment, not the after treatment, I'm sorry, for the emissions control. I apologize. When they started bolting on and trying to control the emissions, put in EGR coolers, changing different style turbos, VGC style turbos, I really started not becoming that big of a fan of the 60 series. Not only did they become a pain in the butt to start working on, because now you have V-pods to deal with, and you had a bunch of issues going on with that, it starts becoming a problem. So guys, so what's up, Adam? I had to change my DEF pump because my DEF light was blinking and went 55 to rate. Wow. I hope everything else is going well. I remember you were having some issues with that. Hopefully the DEF pump light come on, was blinking. So after the pump replacement, hope everything was going good. I was jumping around because I see transports really help us out with the questions. So I just want to make sure nothing was being left out. Let me see. I have all the trucks running all at full capacity. Had to bring a few new owner operators on to cover everything. Trucker Style Sean says he's having to bring more people on. So guys, what I'm telling you is true. Transport's probably seeing it too. I know Transport's part of a fleet as well, guys. Getting your truck looked at and getting it serviced, and making sure you can stay on the road, because trying to capture all this freight's going to be important. We don't know how long this boom's going to last, so I'm very excited to see. I think it's going to last pretty much long time before truck capacity catches up. There's a lot of orders that dropped. And when it comes to truck orders that dropped during last year, and then the factories actually stopped when COVID hit, the Detroit sites actually stopped actually producing, and so for them to catch it all back up and get back over capacity and get back to capacity, it's gonna take some while, man. So guys, make sure engine light 13 spin it, have fix it, don't know why. Back to Larry. Larry, I think you have some issues on that head, man. We wanted to get more into that valve. If that imbalance, if we're talking about that cylinder 1 imbalance, I wanted to open up more, get inside that head. I remember we replaced the fuel pump because we found metal in it. That's how, Larry, I'm pretty curious to know how long you had this truck. Tad just did one on it. Yeah, we just did an overhead on that truck, and we also did some more work on it on this low performance on cylinder number 1. Larry, I'm hoping you don't have an issue with either a bent valve or something going on with that cylinder number 1. So hopefully the fuel pump issue is not. I know you said you found some metal in your pump. So yeah, back to the owner operator that's saying he's up to full capacity. I'm excited that you're up to full capacity. It's gonna keep on going. It's gonna keep on pumping. I gotta check engine light on. He's just from a GS. I gotta check engine light on when I hit the pedal. Nothing happens. If it's going to be a throttle position, maybe a throttle position light, that's gonna be maybe an electrical problem on your pedal. I would have to get some more information. If it's gonna be from the throttle body, if there's sections in that motor that's moving, either the throttle body has a resistor in it. If there's a worn out section in that resistor, there could be a reason why you have an issue. So keep an eye on that. GS says, Transport says, what's up to GS? Mercedes engine oil pressure runs high. Is it running high? You get an actual, okay, if you're running that pedal and you're running, you actually, so you're accelerating and you're getting oil pressure high. You could have a restriction, or you could have a faulty sensor. I've seen faulty sensors go bad, and they start reading, giving you problems and giving you incorrect readings. Another way you can find if you have a bad sensor is if the sensor starts leaking from the back. If the leaker starts leaking from the back, then you're gonna have, that's indication that you have problems with that sensor and it's failed. Transport also mentions that no transmission problems today. That's good. What's up, Transport? GS says, what's up? Adam, can flow be bad? Can flow be bad? If flow bad, will it go down the bottom of the coolant tank or other reasons of the bottom? Well, I don't think it's going to be restricted flow, man. If you're going to have restricted flow, it's going to be getting hot really fast. A lot of times you have restricted flow, like if the pump is not pumping, you're going to have pressure really fast, and it's going to cause a lot of problems. So that's one thing that I mentioned right there. And Transport just made a comment on that particular code here too, Larry. I know originally Larry came in with this imbalance code on number 1. He had a valve adjustment done. We redid the valve adjustment. The code is still there, and now we're looking at, I'm hoping it's not the head. What I wanted to do, Larry, is actually swap the injectors to see if that code's gonna move. So if you're up for that, come on down. I know we did the fuel pump because you were seeing you found metal in the fuel pump. If I replace the head, how much it's going to cost? It's not going to be cheap, man. It's going to be an expensive repair. So what I would suggest we do, Larry, before we jump on the head. Now, the head is suspected. The head is suspected to be, but when we're testing through this, you don't want to jump directly to a conclusion without doing tests. Now, an injector could also cause this particular code. So we've already canceled out that it's going to be the valves adjustment. At least we've done that. Now the fuel pump wasn't going to fix the imbalance problem, but you were suspected the fuel pump being bad because you found metal, which is good. This is good work, Larry, that you're doing this to avoid any problems later on down the road, because if you do have a pump, in some cases fail, you're going to have to replace all the injectors. So yes, the head is possible that it could be the head, it could be bent valves. But what I would like to do is cancel out the injector by swapping the injectors. So for example, if we move from 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 and we let you run and the code moves, then that's an indication that we're on point. That if the code moves, then that's an indication showing that that it's an injector basically. If the code doesn't move, then that's going to be a mechanical fault. So thank you for sharing that. Transport's got a lot of experience. He's been around a while. He's been part of the channel for a long time since we started. So I appreciate your input there, Transport. Why motor vibrates on low RPMs? Check the motor mounts, and if it's a DD15, if it's the up and down type of idle, then that's going to be your pressure. I'm sorry, that's going to be your quantity control valve. Sorry, and if it's got high mileage, go ahead and replace the whole pump. I'm sorry to have to say it, but sometimes if you have issues with that pump, you'll have to replace it. Larry, I'm glad you got that truck up and going. I wanted to get some more information. Let me see what else you share with us here. Also, my truck still has a check engine light. Yeah, I remember I just kind of covered that right now. Tad just did one of it about 2 years ago. Okay, Larry, whenever I seen that code, it's head goodbye. Oh, I hope not, Larry. I hope we don't do it. Come on by, Larry. Let's do that injector swap. Thanks you for joining us. Let's do that injector swap, and if it's the head, we'll get it swapped out. We just did a head on the DD13, so I can try to get it in and out for you. I want to release that video pretty soon, so hopefully you guys see that. Larry, don't get too down yet, man. Let's do that injector swap to see if the fault moves to a different cylinder, and hopefully it does move, and it's just the injector. Does the EGR corrode internally? The EGR can corrode. A lot of times what I see with EGRs is they get built up with a lot of soot. And this is why the video that I released last week about the 300-mile ash cleaning, the 300K mile ash cleaning, that's getting your eyes on those EGR coolers. Another thing you can do if you're suspected of an EGR cooler and you get some eyes on it and it looks dry and you can't see that it's leaking, I've seen these tests that you can do with the coolant strip. You can get an empty cup of water, actually put a cup of water, distilled water, and you put your coolant in a strip and you look at your coolant strip, and that's going to be your baseline. Get some of that soot out of the intake side of that EGR cooler and the outtake side, either side. Get some of that soot, put it in a cup. Let that soot dissolve in the water, and get another test strip and test it. If that test strip changes at all on any of the 3 different ones, then that's indication that you have coolant going into your EGR and it needs to be replaced. If you have high mileage over 400K, yes, you can have corroded EGRs. As I mentioned, even corrosion can happen internally if you're not taking care of this, taking care of your coolant, checking your coolant every PM, making sure your nitrate levels, your pH levels, your freeze points are all good. If not, the EGR cooler is basically just a large device with tubes in it, and the coolant's going through the tubes, and the EGR gas or the exhaust gas goes through the EGR cooler, and the heat transfer is from the EGR, or the exhaust gas from the EGR cooler or from the engine coolant. So that's how it cools. And if you have you don't have good coolant and you got corrosion inside your coolant, yeah, it can cause corrosion on that EGR cooler and cause it to fail. So trucks are also heating at idle easily. Fan on. If fan is on and your truck is heating up, what type of engine is it? If it's one of the newer DD15s, check your water pump. A thermal infrared thermostat is a very good tool to use when trying to track down overheating, especially if you see it getting hot while parked. You can kind of see the differences between the radiator. You can see the differences from the pump. So check out that tool if you're a mechanic. I know you're a mechanic, GS. Check that out. Penny Trucker Adventure USA says hello. Thanks for joining us. Murray says, Adam, can I bring my truck next week? Yes, you sure can. Come on in. If you want to make an appointment, you can call us or you can email us at info@tatexpressinc.com. Make sure to make an appointment. Give us a shout. We'll look at our schedule. We'll put you down, and we try to get you in and out. Thank you for everybody that's coming from the channel, that's come and visit us at our location. We are just a few months, I would say at least by the end of this year, we should be in our new building, guys. We're very excited about our new building. I'm really excited about getting the driver's lounge built out for you guys. I want to apologize for not having a quality driver's lounge for you guys. We've been having to share some of the office space. So we actually gave up a lot of office space here. But don't worry, guys. When we get into the new shop, I've already been looking at kind of like what type of setup I want to get you guys. I want to get you a lounge and setup. I don't know if I want to go with lazy boys each one for you guys, but they're kind of high. I need to run at least more weeks to get more money, injector swap. Come on in, Larry. I'll work with you on the labor with that. It won't be a lot of parts involved in that. We can just swap it. So, as long as you don't feel like nothing's going to be damaged, that's fine, Larry. But, yeah, go ahead and run it. I know you guys are going to be trying to get this work, and hopefully it's not, if you're still able to work, and it's not causing any issues. We are located just south of Dallas. If you're coming through Texas, and most of the time you're either going to come through Interstate 20 most of the time. But if you're coming from up north, I think you're coming in from 75. If you're coming down to going down to Mexico or the Mexico border, we're right there off of Interstate 20 in Dallas. We're not in downtown Dallas. We're actually Interstate 45 and 20. We're going to be very close to where our new location is going to be. So very accessible. There's a lot of truck stops in the area. Everything's really built out. Everything's really everything's made for trucks in this area. There's big turnarounds. There's roundabouts. There's, places to eat. A lot of truck parking. This area is very large. So if you need service, come on down. We'll be more than happy to help you. We appreciate you, all the guys that come and visit us that are coming from the channel. We appreciate all your guys' support. Let me catch back up to all these comments, guys. I'm all over the place with these comments. I really enjoy all your feedback and all your guys' comment. We do got some more stuff coming in, more content. We had a viewer come in, had a turbo replaced. Thank you for coming and joining us. He been to a couple shops in the area, and there's some more people that are actually coming in from the area that's been watching us. And they're not getting their stuff done in the other areas. TJ, what's up? Haven't seen you in a long time. What's up, TJ? Good afternoon. Did you find your drone? I did not find the drone. No, trust me, I was really sad about that, because one thing, it wasn't my drone. And transport, that's a good statement right there. If you're asking them to change over to reefer, hold on, Larry. Man, I'm gonna tell you something right there. Transport, there's a lot of freight. There's so much freight right now. We do a lot of work for FedEx right here, right up the street, man. They're loading reefers with dry freight, man. because I'm guessing dry freight has to move that bad. There's so much dry freight so much dry freight that I've seen over here FedEx loading reefers, and these are big time people. I mean, I think it was like who was it? Man, I want to say Primer or Premier, somebody big like that. You know, somebody, one of the big carriers, who were big reefer free carriers, backed up against a dry dock, man, loading reefers. So transport, switching to reefer, it usually is a good idea, you know. But right now, look at the rates. The rates, they're having to move this dry freight, and it's they're paying money. They're paying money because there's not a lot of trucks right now. So keep that in mind. I've seen rates. If you guys check out, I got a Facebook group, the Truck Stop. Check that out. You can go to my Facebook page, or go to my business page. Make sure to join my business page if you haven't joined my business page yet. We're going live on the business page as well. And I'm actually thinking about starting a group, a technician group. We already got a Truck Stop group, which is mostly just kind of talking about what's going on in the industry. But I'm thinking about opening up a tech group, guys. So if you're a mechanic and you watch this channel, keep an eye out when I make that announcement for that tech group. I'm going to be pretty excited about that. I just want to make sure I got everything already under control that we already have open, because we're having to go more live on Instagram and Facebook. But I really like YouTube, guys. Everybody's here on YouTube, and I really like being on YouTube. So as I was mentioning, don't mean to jump around. Sorry, I just wanted to keep everybody at the same, trying to keep up with everybody. TJ, back to that drone. That drone, that when I wrecked it, I felt really bad because one thing, it was Trey. Trey's helped me out a ton, guys. You know, Trey's come and owning his own business. He's, you know, big marketer. He's been showcased on a magazine for marketing, you know, so he's helped my business out a lot, getting us out there, starting his channel out. So he's let me borrow his, you know, if you borrow anything from anybody, you know how that feels. So he lets me borrow his drone, and I'm flying this drone. And now that I researched it more on what type of drone I was flying, guys, if you get a drone, it's just like any other equipment. Read the manual, man. Make sure you guys are there reading, understanding what the equipment that you have, that you're running with. The reason why I say this is because the drone that I'm flying is not omnidirectional sensors, so it only has sensors in the front and the back. So if you're flying sideways, you're not getting you don't have alarms. So I'm looking at the site flying sideways, and I ran right into a tree, and I was really high. I was about as high as a telephone pole on height wise. That's how high I was flying the drone. So when you run into a tree that high, I can see the live video when I'm flying it, but it didn't hit the ground. It just, you know, hits the tree, and you just sees a lot of shrubs, and it just stays stuck there. And I was like, man, we spent hours trying to find that drone. And guys, check out that live that I just shot earlier today when we were at the site. The telephone people out there are putting up telephone poles, and they chopped the tree that the drone wrecked in. So I'm like, hey, did anybody find a drone? But honestly, it's been in MIA for almost about a month now. So, you know, we already had wrote the drone off, but just that happening, and I felt really bad about it. So I bought him another drone. So hopefully he forgives me about that. So let me keep looking at these comments, guys. I'm sorry to keep jumping around. I get excited when I get these comments. I like all the feedback. I like all the interaction, guys. Thank you for all your comments. Thank you for everybody that comes in to support the business, support the channel. Adam, can I bring my truck in? Yes, I answered that. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to read that again. The Heavy Wrench says, hey man, I have watched a few of your videos and live streams. You give some real solid advice. I work on equipment mostly, and you have some great knowledge. Thank you for sharing it. I appreciate that, Heavy Wrench. I really like that comment. And it's very nice when people say nice things like that. Most of the time I get comments of what I didn't do right. But I appreciate that, Heavy Wrench. Richard says, like your videos. I appreciate that. Make sure you subscribe. If you got a buddy that has a truck as well, or somebody that's looking to get into the trucking industry as well, make sure to share my channel to them. We got merch coming out pretty soon, guys. So if you help us get up to 10,000 subscribers, we're almost there. And I really want to get that. I really want to get that 10,000 subscribers, because we're gonna have hats. We're gonna have hoodies, shirts, guys, so you can support the cause. So I appreciate that. Let me keep looking at. Let me see here. Also, my truck. Yeah, Larry. Thank you for. Do I need to schedule an appointment? Make a call before you come in. I'm coming into Dallas and get my truck service at your shop. I appreciate that. If depends on what time you're coming in and what type of service. It depends if if it's troubleshooting, we only have a certain amount of people that can troubleshoot, or technicians that can troubleshoot. If it's just oil change, give us a call Monday morning, or you can actually, if you want to call me Monday morning or send us an email, we can get you scheduled in, try to get you in and out. Thank you for the support. Larry, that's an idle smoothness code. Do a tune up on your head. Yep, head could be bad. Yep, we went over that. Appreciate Transport shared a lot of information. I appreciate that, Transport. Let me see. 16 Cascadia has 4 different codes related to the collision and migration system. How do I remove this system? One thing, it's going to be tough to have somebody remove it, because nobody wants to remove any kind of safety features on a truck. Safety features have been known to cut down on a lot of wrecks, man. So you could get, if you have somebody with the software and they're willing to to disable it, they can. If not, then you're gonna have to get that troubleshot and checked out. And that goes back to corrosion as well, guys. As I mentioned, wires are just as susceptible to corrosion as anything else, guys. So bare metal wires, anything like that, when they put these collision avoidance systems, it's pretty common for these systems to get corrosion within the connections, or chafing happens because it's installed afterwards, and all the movement of the wires. Over time, you can have disconnect, miscommunication, or losing communication to some of the radars, and over time it can be a headache. So keep that in mind when it comes to getting your truck service. So I appreciate that. Fred says hi to all. Appreciate that. I hope it's not the head. I keep going back to the same area. Where am I located? Ooh, sorry. Let me get back to where I was, guys. Don't mean to jump around too much. I don't want to miss anybody's comments here. If I replace the head, okay, yeah, Larry, we're going to still do that first. Trucker Style Sean says, I am in the process of replacing some of my fleet to all trucks with N14 and M11 and big cams. I only buy 2004 and older. What's your opinion? Trying to make it a little easier to maintain the fleet. Trucker Style, I mean, depending on how big of a fleet. If we're talking about a small fleet, the only problem I see is parts. You're gonna have, especially, you can get a good engine. We're actually replacing an engine today. It's a 14 liter. We're not replacing it today. We got an engine in last week. We're gonna do a video. We finally completed this engine, ready to be put in for a customer that's been a customer of ours for a very long time. I want to say he's been a customer since probably 2009. His engine finally failed on him, and we're going to be installing a brand new engine for him, a 2000. I think it was it's a 14 liter. Very excited. Sorry, 12.7. I apologize. Because looking at an N14. Trucker Style. One thing I would, my opinion is, first, it's going to be hard to find a good truck with an N14 Cummins or an M11. Most of the time the chassis are going to be pretty worn, so you're going to either maintain the chassis. Just kind of depends on where you want to go. If you're going to be maintaining, you're not going to be doing too much maintenance on the engine. Depends on the history of the engine. Just because it's an M14 doesn't mean it all depends on the maintenance history as well. So it's going to be tough to find a good. But I mean, in ideal, in theory, if you had a solid trucks, it would be, yeah, you wouldn't have to worry about that. But as I mentioned, 2004, that's 16 years old. Probably over a million miles on each unit, and that's chassis included. So just keep all that in mind. Eventually, all those items are going to need to be replaced if they haven't been replaced. So, Adam, what was the lower part of the coolant tank called again? Honestly, the lower part of the coolant tank, there's not really a name for it. I guess I'd have to look it up to see if there's an exact name for it. It's just an extra chamber in there. It's just a relief section where if there is going to be too much pressure going into that system, that's there to show you. And also, I mean, just to not cause excessive pressure in the system when you have some kind of relief somewhere. Oh, we just got another subscriber, guys. Thank you for Almighty Trucking. Thanks for subscribing to us. Hope you like that guy, a little character. We're trying to boost our streaming game up. So, guys, hope you see that. We even got this animated logo. Spent some time making that. Hope you guys like that. Transport says, Adam, when an EGR cooler leaks, it passes inside the cooler. Usually when an EGR cooler leaks, you're going to lose coolant. But if you're having excessive pressure, it could be injector cups. You're going to have to go through the troubleshooting procedures of pressure testing or checking why you're getting excessive pressure in the system. It could be injector cups. If you check to see if you're getting any fuel going in your coolant, could be EGR cooler. Definitely check to see if everything's working correctly. Knight says, where are you located? We are located in Dallas, Texas. Thank you for asking. I need to run. Yep. Drive in. Should switch to reefer. TJ says, good afternoon. I'm just barely catching up. I did jump all the way to your question there, or your statement there, TJ, just because I haven't seen you in a long time. But thanks for joining us. Transport says, reefer best for both dry and cold. Reefer can do both. Sometimes Facebook group from. Okay. Well, when you make the comment about reefer best on both. So you got to think about reefer work. Reefer work, the reason why I know reefer work, I've had trucks in the past, and I've ran both. I've ran dry van, I've ran reefer. Reefer does pay better just because you're dealing with more of a headache. I'm not saying reefer should pay a lot more than what it's paying right now. Not only do you have to pay for fuel, you're having to pay extra for insurance, for reefer breakdown. Not only that, but the freaking unload times are ridiculous. Even the dry vans are getting up there. I see the dry vans. There's an Amazon warehouse up the street. And man, I feel bad for you guys. You guys are wrapped around the street waiting. So I wonder how that is. Transport, I'm talking about a Facebook group. It's basically a group that we can make on Facebook that's strictly about, like, say, for example, we only let mechanics or people that work on trucks in that group. And we build that group so that we can talk more about repairs. So we're excited about getting that launched. So, yeah, that's what the Facebook group is, and we'll make sure to send you an invite to that. I live in Fort Worth. I'll definitely be using you guys. Dealership's a joke. Yes, sir. Yeah, we get a lot of dealership work. That head job that you saw, guys, on our community, when I shared that video on our community, that's a head job from DD13. And basically that customer lost confidence in the dealer. He was at the dealer, and I don't want to spoil the story. I'm going to share it. I'm going to let you know that that's going to come out later. And check that video out. This video is going to be an explanation of what happened with this customer. We're not naming any names, no locations or whatnot, but he basically lost confidence in a dealer while his truck was being repaired at a dealer, and he pretty much towed it out of that location, towed it out of there, towed it here to our location. We're able to get him up and going. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to serve you. Guys, if you're running into that, if you're dealing with a dealer, you're not happy, if you're dealing with local shops in this area, if you've been in this area, if you're dealing with one of my competitors, I'm not going to be upset about you using one of my competitors and you want to come see us. We see it all the time. There's so many competitions work coming into the shop, and it's fine, guys. Come and see us. We're going to get you taken care of. Even if it's going to take more than one visit, trust me, we're going to get you taken care of. We're not going to turn our backs on you guys. So I appreciate you guys supporting the channel. I appreciate you guys supporting the shop. So yeah, Fort Worth, yeah, dealerships can be a joke. Jason Willis says, Adam, that would be great to have the technician group. Yes, I'm gonna get it started, and I will invite you guys, let you know when it started. And yeah, I was excited. I just thought about that the other night. Actually, I just thought about that last night. I was listening to some information, and I've been watching videos all the time. I mean, not just YouTube. But I read a lot about, just trying to keep up with the industry, what's new, what's going out there. TJ says, has a good dude. He forgives. Yeah, he will forgive me. Trey is a good dude. He is a good dude. Thank you. He is a really good dude, TJ. Thanks for that comment. Trey going to remember that for the rest of his life. Yep, ruin his drone. He ain't going to let you use the drone. Yep, he probably won't. You're right. Yep, you're probably right, and we're probably gonna laugh about it forever. If a Freightliner dealer 5 miles from my house, but I drive to tap, better service. I appreciate that, Larry. I really appreciate that. Adam, what was the lower part of the coolant tank called? I'm sorry, I didn't have an exact answer for you. Gary Bates says, will the salt on the road grime get into the wheels and axles and differentials? It sure will, Gary. I appreciate you listening on that. And wintertime is right around the corner, guys. As I mentioned, if you're running across the country, you're more than likely you've already been into some areas that have already been treated. And if you've already been into some areas and treated, just get your truck washed. Get it done at the Blue Beacon. They do the hot water wash. They got the neutralizers in there to get all that road salt and that road formula off your truck. And yeah, it will corrode brakes, brake components, brake hoses, brake lines, air lines. Those are all susceptible to corrosion. So getting your truck washed on a regular basis is going to help prevent that corrosion from getting worse, and adding it to your pre-trip and your post-trip inspections. So keep that. I see. If the injector swap doesn't work, should I just trade the truck in for a newer truck? Probably not. If you're gonna, if the injectors are good and you do a good head and you got a good head on it, we should be good. As long as there's not any cylinder damage, we can look at cylinder damage, cylinder wear. But the only thing that I'm worried about, Larry, is trying to find a good used truck right now. That's the only thing. If you haven't been in the market right now, it's pretty grimy. There's a lot of people grabbing up trucks, and what's out there, it's not really nice, man. There's a lot of work that needs to be done to them. So I just want to make sure you keep all that in mind. I'm trying to see how long I've been going live. I don't have. Oh, okay. I've been going on a little bit over an hour. In Cali, they won't even give you registration on older trucks. I think the next year or two they're gonna stop. Don't remember the date. Yeah, they will do that. And California is one of the first states that are really pushing that type. Taking more in control of the emissions. They're actually trying to lead by example. But I won't be surprised if more states start trying to bring this on, guys. Just keep all this in mind. California is just the leader of what's going to end up happening across the nation over time. So I'll keep all that in mind. 2015 with Larry. Now that you're mentioning your mileage, if you do have a bad liner, it is going to be pretty a headache to get into that. But honestly, if it's not a liner and it's just a head, you're going to be just fine. But you can waive your options there. If you want to do the injector first to verify if it's going to be a head, then we can give you pricing on what the head's going to be. Then if you want to go off and look out for another truck and see what's out there, and then you can sit there and make a better decision. What we can do is just give you some better, give you some numbers, more solid numbers on what route it's going to cost you to repair the truck. So hopefully I'll be able to help you in that standpoint. Transport says, Adam, it was new cups, 6 new cups, new O-rings, 6 new injections, new tank, fuel lines, 2 were leaking a week ago. Hope it's just EGR cooler bad, and that's why coolant bottle level on the tank. Okay, so what you can do, Transport, you can test the EGR system separately without removing it. You remove the hot pipe and you put an adapter on the back of the EGR cooler or the inlet of the EGR cooler. You're going to plug the outlet and you're going to test it to see if it's actually losing pressure. If it is losing pressure, then you have a bad EGR cooler. If you're not losing pressure and you do have pressure going into the system, I would suggest doing combustion gas tests. Now, was that repair done because of the coolant bottle? Is that why? Did you have excessive pressure in the cooling system? Is this why you did the cups? And also, before you do the cups, and I see this all the time. This is why basically one guy pulled his truck from the dealer. If you're suspecting cups to be bad, for example, if you suspect my injector cups to be bad, you can leave the coolant. You can leave the coolant in the system, pull the injectors, pressurize the cooling system, and physically look inside the injectors and see where the cups are, to see where the cups are leaking at. You can see if the cups are bad. If the cups aren't leaking, then you're not losing pressure. That's more than likely it's not going to be your cups. I'm interested to know, is it overflow? Is it overflow that's happening, Transport? Let me know. Let me know if it's overflow or if it's just if you're just losing coolant. Diesel went inside the coolant tank. That's why. Okay. What year is the truck? Check out your EGR. There's a fuel cooler that's got bypassed from that particular truck. If you have an older one and you have a fuel cooler that's still on the, if you still have a fuel cooler, number 6 was leaking coolant. Okay. So if number 6 cup was leaking, then that should have fixed your problem. Did you pressure test the system after you replaced the cups to see if they were still leaking? Also, if you're getting diesel inside your coolant tanks, then check out that EGR. That fuel cooler that's in the fuel filter housing that's bypassed now. All the new ones are getting out. My truck came from Prime. I bought it from Premier in Dallas. Okay. So Transport, yeah, check that out. Give me a little bit more information. I appreciate you joining, guys. I think I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. I've already caught up to everybody on the chat. We've been on for about an hour. I still got to do this video that we're shooting in a shop. I appreciate everybody that's joining us. The viewers kind of dropping a little bit. Hopefully you guys aren't getting too bored. Hopefully you guys, yes, fixed problem, but a week later now, violent in the tank and foaming at the bottom. All right. Test to see if you got combustion gas. Test to see if that's combustion gas going in. Diesel problem is fixed though. Okay, if you still have foaming going on, you got something going on in the system right there, see if it's combustion gas going in, or if maybe it was something that was left open, or if you got air in the system. Something sounds like foaming. That's kind of odd that foam's going on in there. Is it excessive pressure as well? But anyway, guys, thanks for everybody that's joined us today. We're going to finish wrapping up the video that we got shooting today. It's going to go over excessive pressure in the cooling system, what to look for, basically what transport is looking for right now. So we're hopefully get this video out fast for you guys. Transport, hit us up if you got any questions. Guys, if you got any questions throughout the week, you can hit us up at 972-225-3017, or you can email us at info@tatexpressinc.com. Thanks, everybody, to join us today. We're going to go live again next week. I'll get up the topic as quick as possible. Also, we're going to be shooting a video, releasing a video next week on this particular topic about corrosion, guys. So thanks, everybody, for joining us. Until we see you next time, guys, be safe, and we'll see you guys. Thanks again for joining us.
I came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon. Try to catch me howling at the moon. Try to catch me howling at the moon. Try to catch me howling at the moon. Try to catch me howling at the When it rains, it pours. Water's up to my chin. Won't stop fighting to the very end. Many men try to reach it. Many men have failed. Well, if you wanna get to heaven, you gotta raise a little hell. And I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon. Facing on a sleepless night. Will you find me? Hope you find me.